Hey, good morning, everybody. We're in Santa Paula, California, and the sun is shining. Man, we haven't seen the sun in I don't know how long. It's been May gray, and it's just been overcast from morning till night. It's noisy here, sorry for traffic, but buddy Tom and I were getting ready to do a pretty good sized gravel bike ride out of Santa Paula, and I'm going to be stopping along the way and talking about the next keeper. Keepers are things that I've just loved to use and I don't want to ride without. I've got one on this beautiful Alchemy gravel bike here. We'll be talking about that later on in the ride. We're going to give you a little history lesson on old mountain bike tech and why it's still relevant for gravel bikes. Anyway, we got to get loaded up and get on the road. It's a big day. You guys take care. See you in a bit. So ran into a fine group of people doing a 200 today. They got somebody's mom sagging them in the truck. Is that awesome? Anyway, we still got a lot more riding to do before we hit the climb. I'll be back. We'll be talking about that amazing thing I have on this bike that I don't want to ride without. Catch you in a bit. So what is this thing that I love so much? I put it on every gravel bike in the house, both mine and Mrs. Granny Gear. In fact, it was part of the decision-making process for me to buy her new bike. Now, I haven't shown you guys that yet. That's coming up in a series of videos. But that's how impressed I am with this product, that I chose a bike partially because it came with that from the factory. What is that? It's right here. It doesn't look like much, but it is. It's the Redshift ShockStop suspension stem. Now, this seems like a new thing, but it kind of isn't. There isn't that much really new in cycling, isn't it? It seems like a lot of things have been tried before. And we're going to set the Wayback Machine, Mr. Peabody and me, to about the early to mid-90s BS mountain biking time. BS being before suspension. Let's let the moderator take off for a little bit, take us back into the history, and then I'll be back. Well, you know all the debate there is about suspension on gravel bikes like front forks and whatnot. Well, roll the clock back to the 90s and the same thing was happening with mountain bikes. And so here is the Allsop soft ride beam bike. I rode one of these briefly, and this foam core composite cantilevered beam that you sat on, man, it was like a diving board. That thing would spring you up in the air. And then, of course, it had the Allsop spring suspension stem on it, as you can see here. And the whole idea here was a kind of a philosophical thinking that bikes should be simple and pure and suspension free. And so there was this mantra to suspend the rider and not the bike, which doesn't really work very well for mountain biking, but for gravel biking, you know, maybe it does. But Allsop was not the only person to jump in the suspension stem market. There's this Force one. I don't even seen that. I see it on eBay. Maybe it was some kind of a copy. Girvan was probably the most common one that I used to see around, and they were certainly simpler looking, still not exactly very attractive, and they would develop this wiggle and play in the pivots over time. They were flexy. They were really, frankly, pretty awful to ride with. Now these days, Redshift is not the only game in town. For instance, there is this Connect stem, which it's pretty unattractive and chunky looking. It looks like their market, though, seems to be more the a very casual cyclist, maybe he's looking for some comfort in obviously a very upright position in some of the ways you can configure the stem. And more along the lines of the Redshift as far as looking like a quality item. Cane Creek, who has certainly been around a long time, makes some very, very nice components, is the E-Silk stem, and that looks very Redshift-ish, if you will. Although it does have this little feature of kind of like a lockout-ish kind of switch on it, which seems a little bit much for me on a stem. They don't have very much travel. To think you'd need a lockout on it. I don't know. I haven't tried it. Maybe it's awesome. So the Redshift stem, and they have a seat post that kind of goes along with it that also has the same type of lovely ride to it. This is so effective in taking the shock out of a trail ride that it's amazing how much really abuse it takes away from all the ruts and the rocks and everything that we would normally get right up into our bodies. Listen, whatever our bicycle doesn't absorb, we do, right? And that's very tiring over time. And so having something that takes the edge off the bigger bumps, well, that's huge. And at my age, I've got a lifetime behind me of skateboard falls and BMX crashes and mountain bike yard sale crashes. My wrists and my shoulders and my elbows and things, they've seen some smacking, you know what I'm saying? So without this, it would hurt a lot more. So in the box with the Redshift stem, you get instructions, because we all need those, right? And you get a little bitty Torx bit wrench guy so you can take it apart. You adjust the spring rate by different colored elastomers, and they give you a little sample pack, and there's instructions with the color versus the pounds, and so you can tune it to your body weight. It's very simple. You can run it negative or positive, the stem, by simply flipping the internals over and running it the other way. It's very versatile. And there are there's two versions, I should say, of the stem. There's the Pro version. It's a little lighter, a bit more expensive, but otherwise functions the same as the regular old one. And they do come in different lengths, so check the website for that. That's a rut. So's that. We got lots of those. Southern California, we don't really have much of those flat to rolling, fairly smooth gravel roads like you see, like I've ridden in Idaho and Colorado. But what we do have is lots of fairly steep, fairly poorly maintained dirt roads. And they call them fire roads here. And they're called that just because a lot of them were put in just so the Forest Service would have access to fight fires, because Southern California pretty much burns to the ground every year. What a pretty dog.
Pretty dog.
Oh my goodness. So a poorly maintained dirt road means ruts and rocks, good morning, and sand and whatnot. Just enough to where it's almost like a light, like mountain biking light. And in a way, the modern gravel bike is really a lot like those early 90s mountain bikes, except with way better brakes and better shifting. Other than that, the geometry and simplicity is a lot like a 90s mountain bike. That's not a bad thing. So for me, the Redshift ShockStop Stem, man, I have a hard time saying that. It's been a total win. It is absolutely a game changer for me. I haven't really got a chance to try the seat post. They have a seat post version. I understand it's pretty amazing too. Maybe one of these days. In the meantime, this thing is going on every gravel bike I'm ever going to own. And frankly,
If I was doing an all road and I was on rough roads, I'd do that too. I'd put it on there. So thanks Redshift for all the years of saving my body, for all the abuse that a gravel bike can dish out on you. Thank you for helping my aging joints feel better during a ride. And thank you for sending this and a couple other stems out to me when I need them at no charge. You guys are great. So glad you're here. Make my life a lot better when I'm on my bike. ShockStop Stem. She's a keeper. Granny gear out for old guy in a bike. You guys go ride.